Palestine. The very name evokes a sense of ancient times, a land intertwined with the threads of history, religion, and culture. It's a land where empires rose and fell, where prophets walked, and where the echoes of ancient civilizations still whisper through the stones. Nestled at the crossroads of Asia, Africa, and Europe, Palestine has long been a bridge between continents, a melting pot of cultures, and a coveted prize for empires throughout the ages. Its fertile valleys and strategic location have made it a land of both immense beauty and enduring conflict. From time immemorial, Palestine has been a cradle of civilization. The land bears witness to the footsteps of the Canaanites, the Philistines, and the Israelites, each leaving their indelible mark on its tapestry. Empires like the Egyptians, Assyrians, Babylonians, Persians, Greeks, and Romans all staked their claim on this ancient land, shaping its destiny and leaving behind a legacy etched in stone, from towering temples to sprawling amphitheaters. However, Palestine's significance extends far beyond its geopolitical importance. It is a land revered by three of the world's major religions: Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. For Jews, it is the Promised Land, the land of their forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. For Christians, it is the Holy Land, where Jesus was born, preached, and was crucified. And for Muslims, it is Al-Quds, the noble sanctuary, the third holiest site in Islam after Mecca and Medina. The story of Palestine is a complex and often heart-wrenching one. It is a narrative woven with threads of conquest and coexistence, resilience and displacement, faith and conflict. This land has witnessed the rise and fall of empires, the birth of religions, and the enduring struggle of a people for their homeland. It is a story that continues to unfold today, a story that demands our attention, our understanding, and our empathy. In the wake of World War I, the Ottoman Empire, which had ruled Palestine for centuries, crumbled, leaving a void that would have profound consequences for the region. The rise of Zionism, a movement advocating for the establishment of a Jewish homeland in Palestine, coincided with a growing Palestinian national identity. As Jewish immigration increased under the British Mandate, tensions between the Jewish and Arab communities escalated, culminating in the devastating War of 1948 and the creation of the State of Israel. The events of 1948, known to Palestinians as the Nakba or catastrophe, led to the displacement of hundreds of thousands of Palestinians from their homes and lands. This displacement, coupled with subsequent conflicts and the continued expansion of Israeli settlements, lies at the heart of the ongoing Israeli-Palestinian conflict. Today, Palestine remains a land divided and contested. The question of Palestinian statehood, the future of Jerusalem, the plight of refugees, and the ongoing struggle for peace and justice continue to dominate headlines and weigh heavily on the hearts of millions. The story of ancient Palestine begins with the Canaanites, a group of Semitic-speaking people who inhabited the land as early as the 3rd millennium BCE. Skilled farmers, artisans, and traders, the Canaanites established a network of city-states. Their vibrant culture left an indelible mark on the region's identity. The strategic location of Canaan made it a coveted prize for rising empires. The Egyptians launched military campaigns to control trade routes. Monuments by pharaohs like Thutmose III and Ramses II stand as testament to Egyptian power. The Israelites, led by Moses, migrated from Egypt and conquered Canaan. They established a kingdom under King David and built the first temple in Jerusalem. The kingdom eventually split and fell to Assyria and Babylonia. The Babylonians destroyed the first temple, leading to the Babylonian exile. The Israelites returned and rebuilt the temple, starting the Second Temple period. Palestine fell under Roman control in 63 BCE. Roman rule brought stability but also tensions, leading to revolts. During this period, Christianity emerged from the Jewish tradition in Judea. Section 3. Crossroads of Empires, from Byzantines to the dawn of Islam. The Roman Empire split in 395 CE, making Palestine part of the Byzantine Empire. Christianity flourished, with Jerusalem as a major pilgrimage site. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre was constructed, solidifying Jerusalem's holy status. Byzantine rule faced challenges. The Sasanian Empire launched wars against the Byzantines. Palestine suffered from economic hardship and political instability. In the early 7th century, a new power emerged from Arabia. Inspired by Prophet Muhammad, Muslim armies conquered vast territories. In 636 CE, the Byzantines were defeated at the Battle of Yarmouk. Islam ushered in a new era for Palestine. Jerusalem became a major center of Islamic piety and scholarship. The Dome of the Rock, built by the Umayyad Caliph Abd al-Malik, stands as a testament to Islam's legacy in Palestine. Section 1. Under the Crescent Moon, the arrival of Islam and the early Caliphates. The year 636 CE marked a profound turning point in Palestine's history. The weakened Byzantine Empire faced the armies of Islam, united under the Rashidun Caliphate. Led by Khalid ibn al-Walid, the Muslim armies defeated the Byzantines at the Battle of Yarmouk. This victory paved the way for the rapid Muslim conquest of Palestine. Jerusalem surrendered to Caliph Umar in 637 CE, revered for the Prophet Muhammad's night journey. Umar entered the city on foot, granting religious freedom to Christians and Jews. Under early Islamic rule, Palestine remained a land of religious and cultural diversity. The Rashidun and Umayyad Caliphates transformed Palestine significantly. Mosques like Al-Aqsa were erected, making Jerusalem a center of Islamic piety. Arabic became the official language and Islamic law shaped Palestinian society. Despite changes, Palestine remained diverse, with Christians and Jews practicing their faiths. They maintained their communities, albeit as protected minorities. This era saw a flourishing of intellectual and artistic activity. Jerusalem and Damascus became renowned centers of Islamic learning. Magnificent mosques, libraries, and palaces reflected Islamic civilization's wealth. Palestine became an integral part of the expanding Islamic world. Section 2. A tapestry of faiths, coexistence and cultural flowering under Islamic rule. The early centuries of Islamic rule in Palestine were marked by peace and prosperity. The concept of dhimmi allowed Christians and Jews to practice their faiths with certain restrictions. This era saw remarkable cultural exchange and intellectual ferment. Muslim, Jewish, and Christian scholars contributed to the intellectual flowering. The arts and architecture reflected this vibrant cultural milieu. Iconic structures like the Dome of the Rock symbolized Islamic piety and ingenuity. The year 1517 marked the beginning of a new chapter in the history of Palestine. The Ottoman Empire defeated the Mamluk Sultanate, bringing Palestine under its control. The Ottomans ruled Palestine for 4 centuries, a period of both stability and stagnation. Palestine was divided into sanjaks and governed by Ottoman officials. The Ottomans tolerated religious diversity, allowing Christians and Jews to maintain their communities. By the 19th century, the Ottoman Empire had entered a period of decline. European powers began to exert their influence, vying for control of strategic territories. The year 1914 marked the outbreak of a global conflict that redrew the map of the world and left empires in ruins. World War I pitted the Central Powers against the Allied powers, leading to the dismantling of the Ottoman Empire. Its Arab provinces, including Palestine, were placed under British and French control through mandates. These mandates were often thinly veiled forms of colonialism, advancing European interests. The seeds of discord sown in the ashes of a fallen empire would soon blossom into violence and conflict. During World War I, the Balfour Declaration of 1917 expressed British support for a Jewish national home in Palestine. For the Zionist movement, it was a major victory, promising international recognition and support. Jewish immigration to Palestine increased significantly, fueled by Zionist ideology and persecution in Europe. However, the declaration's promise came at a steep price for the Arab population, who saw it as a betrayal. The declaration ignited resentment and resistance, leading to decades of conflict. Rising tensions led to violence and displacement in Palestine. Jewish immigration increased, heightening tensions with the Arab population. The British struggled to maintain order, resorting to repressive measures. Arab protests and Jewish paramilitary attacks created a cycle of violence. The 1936 to 1939 Arab Revolt marked a turning point, pushing the region closer to disaster. World War II's horrors set the stage for the creation of Israel, with catastrophic consequences for Palestinians. The Holocaust added urgency to the Zionist quest for a Jewish state. The British referred the issue to the United Nations, which proposed a partition plan in 1947. The plan called for the division of Palestine into Jewish and Arab states, with Jerusalem under international administration. The Jewish Agency accepted the plan, while the Arab leadership rejected it as unjust. The partition plan pushed the region closer to war. On May 14, 1948, David Ben-Gurion declared the establishment of the State of Israel. The next day, Arab armies invaded, marking the beginning of the 1948 Arab-Israeli War. Hundreds of thousands of Palestinians fled or were expelled from their homes. The Nakba, or catastrophe, was a deliberate campaign of ethnic cleansing. The creation of Israel left deep scars on Palestinian society. The 1948 Arab-Israeli War ended in a decisive victory for Israel, expanding its territory. Over 700,000 Palestinians became refugees, living in overcrowded camps. The Palestinian refugee crisis remains one of the largest and most protracted in the world. The right of return has been repeatedly denied by Israel. The Nakba continues to shape the lives of Palestinians today. The creation of Israel in 1948 ignited a series of wars and uprisings. The Arab world viewed Israel as an illegitimate entity, while Israel saw its neighbors as existential threats. The 1956 Suez Crisis solidified Israel's military dominance but highlighted the volatile nature of the Middle East. Regional conflicts could quickly escalate into international crises. The Suez Crisis deepened the divide between Israel and its Arab neighbors. Future confrontations were inevitable. The 1967 Six-Day War marked another turning point in the Arab-Israeli conflict. Israel captured the Sinai Peninsula, Gaza Strip, West Bank, and East Jerusalem. The occupied territories became home to Jewish settlements, fueling Palestinian resistance. The Palestine Liberation Organization gained prominence, advocating for Palestinian rights. The PLO, led by Yasser Arafat, became a symbol of Palestinian resistance and aspirations for statehood. Decades after the 1967 war saw failed peace initiatives, violence, and Israeli settlement expansion, the 1973 Yom Kippur War shattered Israeli invincibility, leading to the 1978 Camp David Accords. However, the Accords failed to address core Israeli-Palestinian issues. The PLO denounced the Accords, leading to the First Intifada in the 1980s. The Intifada highlighted the harsh realities of occupation and drew international attention. The early 1990s witnessed a glimmer of hope in the seemingly intractable Israeli-Palestinian conflict with the signing of the Oslo Accords in 1993. These historic agreements, brokered secretly in Norway and signed publicly in Washington, D.C., with Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin and PLO Chairman Yasser Arafat shaking hands under the watchful eye of U.S. President Bill Clinton, raised hopes for a lasting peace based on a two-state solution. Envisioned a phased withdrawal of Israeli forces from parts of the occupied territories, the establishment of a Palestinian national authority with limited self-governance in those areas, and the start of negotiations on a final status agreement that would address the most contentious issues, including the status of Jerusalem, Palestinian refugees, and Jewish settlements. The Oslo Accords were met with a mixture of hope and skepticism. Many Palestinians welcomed the Accords as a step towards ending the Israeli occupation and establishing an independent Palestinian state, albeit on a fraction of their historic homeland. However, others viewed the Accords with suspicion, arguing that they amounted to a form of Palestinian surrender, legitimizing the Israeli occupation, and failing to guarantee a truly independent Palestinian state. The Accords also faced opposition from hardliners on both sides, who rejected any compromise and remained committed to achieving their goals through violence. Despite the challenges and skepticism, the Oslo Accords ushered in a period of relative calm, with the Palestinian National Authority assuming control of some areas of the West Bank and Gaza Strip, and engaging in negotiations with Israel on a final status agreement. However, the peace process was plagued by delays, mutual distrust, and continued violence, both from Palestinian militants and Israeli settlers opposed to the Accords. The assassination of Prime Minister Rabin in 1995 by a right-wing Israeli extremist dealt a severe blow to the peace process, leaving a void in Israeli leadership and raising questions about the viability of a negotiated settlement. The Oslo Accords' failure led to renewed violence in the late 1990s and early 2000s. The 2000 Camp David summit collapse triggered the Second Intifada. Ariel Sharon's Temple Mount visit sparked intense violence. Thousands died, deepening the Israeli-Palestinian divide. Sporadic peace attempts continued despite the violence. The 2002 Arab Peace Initiative offered normalization for peace. Israel rejected it, citing security concerns. The 2005 Gaza disengagement was seen as both a step towards peace and a strategic move. Section 3, the present and the future, challenges and opportunities. The Israeli-Palestinian conflict remains unresolved, with the two-state solution elusive. The West Bank is under Israeli occupation, and Gaza is ruled by Hamas. Israeli settlements in the West Bank continue to expand despite international condemnation. Palestinian refugees remain a major obstacle to peace. The international community has failed to achieve a just and lasting peace. The U.S. is perceived as biased in favor of Israel. The Arab world is preoccupied with its own internal turmoil. Despite challenges, there are glimmers of hope. The BDS movement has gained momentum, raising awareness about the occupation. A new generation of activists is working together for peace. The future remains uncertain, but the power of dialogue offers hope for peace. As we've journeyed through the annals of time, exploring the intricate tapestry of Palestine's past, one resounding truth emerges. This land bears the weight of a history both shared and contested. From the ancient Canaanites who first cultivated its fertile valleys to the arrival of Islam and the rise of three major world religions, Palestine's story is woven from threads of cultural exchange, intellectual ferment, and periods of relative harmony. Yet, this shared history is tragically overshadowed by a present marked by division, conflict, and the enduring struggle for self-determination. Section 2, the human cost of conflict, a call for empathy and understanding. Beyond the geopolitical complexities and historical narratives, it's crucial to remember that at the heart of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict lie human stories, stories of loss, displacement, fear, and resilience. The conflict has exacted a devastating toll on both Palestinians and Israelis, leaving families shattered, communities torn apart, and generations marked by trauma and grief. For Palestinians, the Nakba remains an open wound, a constant source of pain and injustice. The plight of Palestinian refugees, living for decades in overcrowded camps, denied the right to return to their homes and lands, stands as a stark reminder of the human cost of conflict. The daily realities of occupation checkpoints, movement restrictions, home demolitions, and the ever-present threat of violence have created a climate of fear and uncertainty, stifling opportunities and extinguishing hope for many. For Israelis, the conflict has brought its own share of suffering and loss. The constant threat of terrorism, the fear of rocket attacks, and the knowledge that their sons and daughters could be called upon to serve in a seemingly endless conflict have cast a long shadow over Israeli society. The conflict has also deepened internal divisions within Israel, polarizing public discourse and hindering efforts to build a more just and equitable society for all. Section 3, the path forward, towards a just and lasting peace. The road to peace in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is long and arduous, fraught with obstacles and setbacks. Yet amidst the despair, glimmers of hope persist. The yearning for a better future drives peace activists, humanitarians, and ordinary citizens. Achieving peace requires a shift in perspectives, dialogue, and reconciliation. It demands recognizing shared history and interconnected destinies. The international community must support a just and lasting peace. It always seems impossible until it's done.